Welcome back to City of Palms Park in Fort Myers, Florida for Game 2 of today's doubleheader between the FSW Buccaneers and the St. Petersburg Titans. Ken Kendall, happy to be here with you, describing the action. The Buccaneers took Game 1 5-0 and head into Game 2 with a record now of 34-11 on the season and 15-8 in conference play. And right away, the first pitch of Game 2 is hit the other way into left field for a base hit by the leadoff hitter for St. Petersburg. That's Andrew Mills, the right fielder. So Mills hits the first pitch of the game from the Buccaneers starter. On the mound for the Bucs is Mason Adams, making his first ever college start. Adams has been very effective out of the bullpen for the Bucs, and now he will be pitching from the stretch with a runner on first and nobody out. And leading off first is Andrew Mills, and batting second for St. Petersburg, Dustin Harris. Throw over to first, and Mills back in safely. Mills, the leadoff hitter. Harris, the third baseman, hitting second, and batting third for St. Petersburg in Game 2 will be their shortstop, Josue Rangel. Now there's a throw that gets by first baseman Solomon. So credit the error to the pitcher, Andrew Mills, and things have not started off too smoothly for the Bucs as Mason Adams gives up a base hit on his first pitch, and before he can deliver his second pitch, he's charged with a throwing error, allowing the runner, Andrew Mills, to move on down to second base. So here's Dustin Harris, the third baseman, with a runner on second, nobody out in the top of the first, and the first pitch to Harris in for a called strike one. Adams eyes the runner at second base. Pitch is fouled off out of play to the left side. And quickly, Adams out ahead of Harris, 0-2. The 0-2 pitch. Outside, 1-2. Mason Adams, a 6'1", 170-pound freshman from Okeechobee, Florida. As I said, has been effective out of the bullpen and now making his first start of the season for the Bucs here in their 46th game of the 2019 campaign. Ball's hit to left field, curving towards the line, and that's going to drop in front of left fielder Tommy Joseph for a hit. Holding at second base was Mills to see if the ball would be caught, and so he's not able to advance as Joseph quickly gets the ball back into the outfield. But the Titans start off Game 2 with back-to-back singles against Mason Adams. That'll bring up the shortstop, Josue Rangel. 2 on and nobody out for St. Petersburg here in the top of the first, Game 1 after the Bucs took, of Game 2 after the Bucs took Game 1 5-0. First pitch to Rangel in for a called strike. Andrew Mills out at second base. The base runner for the Titans at first, it's Dustin Harris, and this is the shortstop, Josue Rangel. Bouncing ball up the middle, taken at short, over to second for one, to first for the double play for the Bucs. Nicely turned out there between Jose Marcano and Warner Rincones. And there's the pitcher's best friend, the double play. 6-4-3. Advancing to third is Mills, but now there are 2 outs and a runner on third as the cleanup hitter, Mike Zawal, comes to the plate for the Titans. Mason Adams looking to pitch his way out of a dicey start here to the top of the first, and his first pitch to Zawal misses down low, ball 1. Ground ball towards second base. Picking it up is Rincones. He throws over to first, and that will do it for St. Petersburg. So the Titans get the first 2 runners on with a pair of base hits, but they end up stranding one, and we move to the bottom of the first inning of Game 2. No score here from City of Palms Park in Fort Myers. We move to the bottom of the first in Game 2 here at City of Palms Park, and up first for the Bucs will be the center fielder Drake Dobianski. He'll be facing right-hander for St. Petersburg, Jeremy Adams. So it's Adams versus Adams on the mound here in Game 2. Mason Adams, the starter for FSW, and Jeremy Adams for St. Petersburg, and he misses outside, ball 1. Second one also outside, ball 2. It'll be Dobianski followed by second baseman Warner Rincones and left fielder Tommy Joseph due up in the bottom of the first for the Bucs. Two 2-0 pitch outside again. Titans starter Jeremy Adams yet to find the strike zone to the leadoff hitter Drake Dobianski. The 3-0 pitch in for the strike, 3-1. That one's lined foul into the stands over the third base dugout, and now the count full on the leadoff hitter, Dobianski. Bottom of the first, no score in Game 2. Swung on and missed. And so Jeremy Adams, after falling behind Dobianski 3-0, comes all the way back to get him on the strikeout. Batting second for the Bucs here in Game 2 will be second baseman Warner Rincones. And now Jeremy Adams seems to have found his groove after having trouble finding the strike zone on the first 3 pitches. That one's lined up the middle for a hit. First hit of the game for the Bucs comes from the bat of second baseman Warner Rincones. Hitting third in Game 2 will be Tommy Joseph, the Bucs left fielder. Joseph was 2 for 4 in the first game of today's doubleheader. And now he comes to the plate in the bottom of the first inning in game 2 with a runner on first and 1 out. Throw over to first. Rincones back in safely. Oh and 1 the count to the Bucs left fielder. Adams checks the runner at first. Throws over even though Rincones just a few feet off first base, and he's back in standing up. Fouled off at the plate, and the count on Joseph is now 0-2. The 0-2 misses outside, 1-2. Ground ball to the right side, taken at second base by Felpovsky. He goes to second for 1, not in time back at first. So Rincones out at second. And Joseph on via the fielder's choice. So 2 outs and a runner on first, and that'll bring up the Bucs cleanup hitter, designated hitter Connor Bagnieski. Bagnieski in game 1 got the Bucs on the board with a 2-run homer in the 4th. He ended up 1 for 3 with a walk. So Joseph at first. 2 outs, throw over to first. Joseph back in easily. Setting the Titans lineup defensively in left field, Jacob Sessa, center field, Jonathan Rodriguez, and right field, Andrew Mills. Pitch in for a strike to Bagnieski. Around the infield from first to third, Dustin Harris, Josue Rangel, Dennis Felpovsky, and Mike Zawal. Behind the plate for St. Petersburg, Rodrigo Montenegro, and on the hill, Jeremy Adams. The 0-1 pitch with the runner going, throw down to second, and he is safe. The ball was there in plenty of time, but the ruling is that second baseman Felpovsky failed to get the tag down on Tommy Joseph. So Joseph to second on the stolen base. The throw down from Montenegro was there in plenty of time. He, in fact, started to jog off the field, as did several other of the fielders from St. Petersburg. But evidently, Felpovsky missed the tag on Joseph. And now he is at second base on the 1-1 pitch is up high to Bagnieski, drawing a few cries from the Titans dugout. 2-1 the count now to Bagnieski. Shortstop Rangel covers second base, but the pitch comes to the plate, and Adams misses wide. Count now 3-1. We're in the bottom of first of game 2 of today's doubleheader. No score. 2 out and a runner on second for the Bucs. The 3-1. In the dirt, gets away from the catcher, and advancing to third on the wild pitch is Tommy Joseph as Connor Bagnieski takes first on a walk.
Number 13, Victor Florentino.
Same lineup for the Bucs as they had in game 1. That means hitting fifth will be the right fielder Victor Florentino. Florentino in game 1 was 1 for 3. Reached base also by being hit by a pitch, and now he's at the plate with 2 out and runners on the corners in the bottom of the first of game 2. The pitch misses, ball 1 to Florentino. The 0-1 fouled back to the screen. The count evens at 1-1. The inning started with Dobianski striking out, then Rincones reaching on a single up the middle. He was forced out at second on a fielder's choice off the bat of Joseph as the throw goes to first, and Bagnieski back in safely. Joseph advanced to second on a stolen base, and then on ball 4 to Connor Bagnieski, the pitch was in the dirt, and Joseph advanced to third on the wild pitch. So now the runner's at the corners, and the runner goes, and he stops halfway down to second. The throw comes to the plate, and Joseph is dead meat at the plate, doesn't even attempt to steal. So the Bucs try and get one there on the base paths, but it'll go down as a caught stealing on Tommy Joseph. And the inning will end with Victor Florentino at the plate. For the Bucs in the bottom of the first, no runs on one hit, no Titan errors, and one runner left on base. We're scoreless after one in Game 2. This is Buccaneers baseball from City of Palms Park in Fort Myers, Florida. Back at City of Palms Park, Ken Kendall here with you for FSW Baseball. We head to the top of the second in Game 2. No score. And up first for St. Petersburg, their catcher, Rodrigo Montenegro. On the hill for FSW, that's Mason Adams, his first offering to Montenegro in for a called strike one. Next offering fouled off to the left side, out of play. And Adams ahead of Montenegro 0-2. Montenegro was 0 for 3 in Game 1 of today's doubleheader. The 0-2. Outside, ball 1. Montenegro will be followed by the second baseman, Dennis Filpovsky, and the designated hitter in Game 2, Riley Buckmaster, due up here in the top of the second for the Titans. 1-2 to Montenegro is grounded to the right side. Over to field it easily. Second base is Rincones, and he throws over to Solomon at first. And Montenegro is retired to lead off the second inning. Second baseman Dennis Filpovsky up next for the Titans. He was 0 for 2 with a strikeout and reached base by being hit by a pitch in the first game of today's doubleheader. Right-handed hitting second baseman facing Mason Adams for the first time today. Swings and misses at the first pitch. Mason Adams working quickly on the mound. He rocks and delivers. Right back through the middle, past a diving Rincones into center field. Taking a big turn at first base is Filipowski. Then he scoots back to the bag. Third hit of the game for the Titans. That brings up the designated hitter for the second game, Riley Buckmaster. Buckmaster did not appear in game one. Now he's at the plate with one out and a runner on first in the top of the second of game two. First pitch inside, throw down to first. Not quite in time as Filipowski dives back in safely. Setting the Bucs lineup defensively for game two, Tommy Joseph in left field, Drake Dobianski in center, and Victor Florentino in right. Around the infield from third to first, Nate Kinch, Jose Marcano, Warner Rincones, and Tyler Solomon. Shamir Morales behind the plate as the pitch comes in and is fouled down the left field side and out of play. Riley Buckmaster, a big left-handed hitting designated hitter, has a big gap to work with on the right side as Rincones is playing close to the base at second base, and of course Solomon holding the runner on at first. When fouled off the handle of the bat, back to the screen, and the count remains 1-2. Titans already have 3 hits here as we play in the top of the second. Adams was able to work out of a jam in the first. Ground ball is foul as the runner was going. And Buckmaster, again, appeared to hit that one off the handle, and a slow roller down the first baseline just went foul before it could be fielded by first baseman Tyler Solomon. So Filipowski will head back to first base. The count remains 1-2 with 1 out. Here in the top of the second, no score between FSW and St. Petersburg. Morales sets up way outside, and the pitch comes in almost appeared to be a bit of a pitch out there as the runner was going on the previous pitch. Not this time. The ball's outside, and the count now 2-2. Again, Filipowski with the lead off first. Throw over there. He dives back in ahead of the throw. The Titans started game 2 with back-to-back singles. But thanks to a double play grounder, Mason Adams is able to work his way out of the trouble. Now the ball is swung out in the dirt. He's out. Runner off first. Morales throws down there, but he gets back in. And so strikeout recorded of the designated hitter Riley Buckmaster. That's the first strikeout of the afternoon for Mason Adams. And with 2 outs and a runner still on first, it brings up the left fielder Jacob Sessa. Sessa also did not appear in game 1, so he's seeing his first action at the plate here in game 2 of today's doubleheader. Runner goes, pitches high, throw down to second base, and he is out. Great throw by Shamir Morales to catch the runner, Filipowski, at second base, and that's going to do it for the Titans in the top of the second. No runs, 1 hit, no Buccaneer errors, and no runners left on base. We're scoreless through 1.5. This is FSW Buccaneers baseball from City of Palms Park in Fort Myers. Victor Florentino leads off for the Bucs in the bottom of the second. Florentino was at the plate in the bottom of the first when the Bucs attempted a double steal with runners on first and third. Pitch from Jeremy Adams up high. Bagnieski tried to draw the throw to second base and did, but Tommy Joseph didn't have a chance to get home on that attempted double steal and was thrown out easily, ending the bottom of the first. So Florentino back up there leading off the bottom of the second. Count now 2-1. That one's high and tight. 3-1, the count on the Bucs right fielder. He'll be followed by shortstop Jose Marcano and third baseman Nate Kinch here in the bottom of the second. No score. We're in game number 2 after the Bucs won the first game of the doubleheader 5-0. Fouled off little looper behind home plate off the handle. Falls harmlessly to the ground. And the count's now full on the first hitter for the Bucs in the bottom of the second, Victor Florentino. There's a little looper out towards second, and that one's caught easily by the second baseman, Phil Povsky. So Florentino with the soft liner to second base makes the first out of the bottom of the second, and that brings up the shortstop, Jose Marcano.
The shortstop, number 21, Jose Marcano.
Marcano was 0 for 3 in game 1. He did reach base twice on a walk as he swings and misses at the first pitch. Marcano also reached on a 2-base error. One left fielder, Orlando Aravalo, dropped his fly ball. Here he swings and misses and is behind 0-2. Up high, 1-2, setting the lineup defensively for the Titans in game 2. Sessa in left, Rodriguez in center, Mills in right. Here's the 1-2. Skied high out behind second base. Right fielder Mills coming in. He calls off Filpovsky and makes the catch. And Marcano is retired on a fly ball to right field. Around the infield for the Titans, Dustin Harris at third base, Josue Rangel at short, Dennis Filpovsky at second, and Mike Zawal at first. Rodrigo Montenegro is the catcher, and Jeremy Adams the starting pitcher. At the plate for the Bucs, their third baseman, Nate Kinch. First pitch up high and tight, ball 1. Kinch in game 1 was 0 for 3, struck out twice. So he's looking for his first hit of the afternoon. Steps out of the box momentarily. And now he's ready to go. If Kinch is able to keep the inning going, he'll be followed by the catcher, Shamir Morales. Fouls it back to the screen. 2-1 the count now on the Bucs' third baseman. Little looper out towards third base, and that's handled easily by Dustin Harris, the third baseman, and it's 3 up and 3 down for the Bucs in the bottom of the second. We move on to the third. No score in game 2. This is FSW Buccaneers baseball. Back at City of Palms Park, we head to the top of the third inning, and up first for St. Petersburg will be the left fielder, Jacob Sessa. First pitch from Buccaneers starter Mason Adams misses outside. Sessa was actually at the plate in the bottom of the second when Dennis Filpovsky was caught stealing to end the inning. So he's back up there to start the third. Fouls it back to the screen. Count evens at 1-1. Sessa, Jonathan Rodriguez, and then back to the top of the order, Andrew Mills, here in the top of the third for St. Petersburg. Fouls another one off to the left side and out of play, just past the Bucs dugout. Count now 1-2 on Sessa. Pops it up to the left side, out past the shortstop. That could fall in, and it does. And that's going to be, as Sessa heads to second, he dives, and the throw is not there, and he's going to get a credit for a double. As a high pop, nobody took charge, and it just kind of landed in no man's land between Marcano, the shortstop, Joseph, the left fielder, and Dobianski, the center fielder. And Sessa, hustling when he saw that ball was going to fall in, was able to get to second ahead of the throw, as Rincones was not able to come up with a throw at second base. And so a pop double for Jacob Sessa to lead off the bottom of the third brings up their center fielder, Jonathan Rodriguez. Adams wheels towards second base, but there's no one there to take a throw. So Mason Adams a little unlucky there. Got weak contact off the bat of Jacob Sessa, but it falls in there in between three Buccaneers fielders. And so the Titans are in business here in the top of the third. A runner on second and nobody out. And the first pitch to Rodriguez misses outside, ball one. Kinch playing in at the edge of the grass on third base against the speedy Rodriguez. Again, Adams bluffs towards second, nothing happening. Rincon is playing close to the bag at second base. Time called now. Rodriguez was the leadoff hitter for St. Petersburg in the first game and was 2 for 4, although he also struck out twice. Here's the pitch in for called strike. Ryan Gusto, the Bucs starter in game one, went the distance and racked up 10 strikeouts along the way. 1-1 the count to Rodriguez. Swung on and missed, strike two. The Bucs play Rodriguez very shallow in left field and in center, with Dobianski shaded to the left field side of center. A little deeper in right field for Florentino, as again the wind continues to blow out to right. The 1-2. Just misses. Morales holds it there, hoping to get the call. But the count even now at 2-2. Sessa the runner at second. The 2-2. Ground ball right to second base. Bobbled by Rincones. He will field it and throw to first in time to get the batter, Rodriguez. So Rincones battled that one a little bit. It got away from him, but only by a few feet, and he was able to pick it up and get the out at first. The runner Sessa advancing to third, and so the Titans have a runner at third with one out here in the top of the third as they go back to the top of their lineup. And right fielder Andrew Mills. Mills led off the game with a base hit down the left field line on the first pitch of the game. The first pitch he sees from Adams this time misses inside. Bucks play the infield in. Inside corner, strike one. Marcano at short, Rincones at second, playing even with the base path. Solomon a little bit deeper at first base against the left-handed hitting Andrew Mills. Now the Bucks come to the edge of the infield, and the pitch misses inside. So just before the pitch, Solomon, Rincones, and Marcano all charged. And by the time the pitch was delivered, they were right on the edge of the infield grass. 2-1 the count. Pitch is outside, and it's 3-1. One out and a runner on third for St. Petersburg. We're scoreless in the top of the third inning. Third baseman Dustin Harris on deck for the Titans. The 3-1. Fouled off to the left side, onto the roof and out of play. And the count is full. No runs, 4 hits already, though, for St. Petersburg, and a runner on third. He started off the game with back-to-back singles, but a double-play grounder helped Mason Adams escape the first inning without giving up a run. Now he's got a runner on third. Foul ball right into the Bucks dugout. Hope everybody's okay down there. And the count remains full. It appears that everyone is fine down in the Bucks dugout as that one was fouled off right where there's no screen in front of the dugout. Ground ball to the right side. Runner holds at third. Rincones flips over to first to Solomon. And that's exactly what Mason Adams needed, as Mills is retired without being able to advance the runner from third. And now there are 2 outs here in the top of the third inning. Sessa's still the runner at third, and Dustin Harris, the Titans' third baseman, comes to the plate. Harris singled in the first, but was erased on the double play grounder off the bat of Josue Rangel. Left-handed hitting third baseman fouls the first one off by the St. Petersburg dugout. Baseball tracked down by Bucks coach Ben Bezier. And the count 0-1. The 0-1 in for a strike, 0-2. Florentino deep in right field with the wind blowing out that way against the left-handed hitting Harris. Rincones at second base, almost straight up the middle. Big gap between Rincones and the first baseman Solomon. The 0-2 pitch is outside, 1-2. Also a sizable gap between Rincones at second and Marcano at short, as Marcano is playing over in the hole, not very far from third baseman Nate Kinch. So an interesting defensive alignment for the Bucks against the Titans' third baseman Dustin Harris. Pitch is grounded, and that's through for a base hit and a run for St. Petersburg, as Rincones could not get there at second base. The ball to his left as he was playing close to the bag at second, and Harris able to put it right through that gap I was talking about. Drives home the first run of the game with the single. First run, 5th hit of the afternoon of game 2 at any rate, for the Titans, and it brings up their shortstop, Josue Rangel. Rangel was 0 for 4 in game 1, and he grounded into a double play in the first inning here in game 2. Now he's up with 2 outs and a runner on first after Dustin Harris has given the Titans the lead 1-0. First pitch to Rangel, misses, ball 1. Already 5 hits here in the game for St. Petersburg, and we're still in the top of the third. 2 outs, a runner on first. Throw over to first. Harris back in, standing up. The 1-0. Grounded up the middle. Fielded by Marcano. He steps on the bag at second for the force out, and that will do it. For St. Petersburg in the top of the third, they do get 1 run on 2 hits. No Buccaneer errors and 1 runner left on base. We head to the bottom of the third to score St. Petersburg 1, FSW nothing. This is Florida Southwestern baseball. Bottom of the third inning here in game 2 of our doubleheader at City of Palms Park. St. Petersburg leading 1-0, and leading off for the Bucks, catcher Shamir Morales. First pitch from St. Petersburg starter Jeremy Adams, in for called strike. Next one is lined the opposite way, and that's in for a base hit down the right field line. Over to field it is the right fielder Mills, and Morales picks up the Bucks' second hit of game 2. The nice opposite field liner to right field. That brings up the number 9 hitter in the Bucks lineup, Tyler Solomon. Solomon was 1 for 3 with a run scored in game 1. And now he's at the plate with a runner on first and nobody out in game 2. First offering from Adams, catches the outside corner, strike 1. After Solomon, we go back to the top of the order, and leadoff hitter Drake Dobianski. Throw over to first. Morales back in, standing up. Big swing and a miss from Tyler Solomon. The 0-2 pitch. Liner over the shortstop into center field for a base hit, and the Bucks have something going here in the bottom of the third. Back-to-back singles by Morales and Solomon. And with 2 runners on and nobody out, we go back to the top of the Buccaneers batting order. Center fielder Drake Dobianski. Dobianski struck out in the first and was 0 for 4 in game 1 of our doubleheader, so he's looking for his first hit of the afternoon, and this would be a perfect time to get it from the Buccaneers' standpoint. Morales at second, Solomon at first. 3 hits now in the game for the Bucks. They trail 1-0. We're in the bottom of the third. First pitch inside, ball 1. Dobianski, left-handed hitting speedster. Center fielder for FSW. Shows bunt, pulls it back. Ball 2. Second baseman Warner Rincones on deck for FSW. Called strike against Dobianski. 2-1 the count. Harris at third base playing in front of the infield grass cutoff. There's a bunt down the third base line, fielded by the pitcher. He throws it to first, way over the head of the second baseman covering. Coming around to score will be Morales, and Solomon will wind up at third and Dobianski at second. Jeremy Adams, the Titans starting pitcher, now there's a conference between the umpires trying to figure out where exactly to place the runners as the ball bounced out of play. At the start of the play, Morales was at second and Solomon at first. The bunt down the third base side, fielded off balance by the pitcher, Jeremy Adams. He then tried to make the play at first and threw it way over the head of the second baseman, Filpovsky, who was catching and kind of flung it over there, and then the ball bounded out of play. And so now the umpires are pointing that Tyler Solomon should come in and score the second run. So that brings St. Petersburg coach Ryan Beckman out to discuss the play with the umpires. Question, where should the runners be placed? Again, Morales started at second, Solomon at first. The bunt by Dobianski was fielded by the pitcher, Jeremy Adams, and thrown over the head. So Dobianski gets on the error on the bunt. And now they're going to bring Tyler Solomon back out of the dugout and put him back at third base and move Dobianski back to second. So everybody ends up advancing 2 bases. Morales scores, and we're tied at 1 apiece. Solomon to third, advancing to second, I guess, on the bunt, and then to third on the error. And now Ben Bezier discussing it with the umpires again. So difference of opinion over whether Solomon should score. Meanwhile, St. Petersburg pitcher Jeremy Adams gets in a few warm-up tosses. Bezier still talking it over with the home plate umpire. But I think that's how they're going to leave it.
Second baseman Warner Rincones.
So Dobianski at second, Solomon at third. The Bucks have a run in. And Warner Rinconis at the plate. Fouls the first pitch off out of play. Oh and 1. The scoreboard showing the score 3-1, but it's one apiece. So I'm sure they'll get that straightened out. Runners at second and third. Next pitch from Adams misses, and the count goes to 1-1. Tommy Joseph in the on-deck circle for the Bucs. He'll be up next. The 1-1 in the dirt. Blocked nicely by the catcher Montenegro. Count 2-1 on Rinconis. Titans play the infield in. The 2-1. Line out to center field. Taking a few steps backward is Rodriguez. The runner's tag. Coming in to score easily will be Tyler Solomon, and moving over to third base, Drake Dobianski. So credit a sacrifice fly to Warner Rinconis, and the Bucs now on top 2-1 in game 2. That brings up Tommy Joseph. He swings at the first pitch and fouls it back into the screen. Joseph had a single, in the first inning of this game. The 0-1 in for a called strike 2. Ball outside, 1-2. Joseph reached on a fielder's choice after grounding to the second baseman. Rinconis was forced at second, and there's a base hit through the middle. Nice job of hitting by Tommy Joseph, and he's on and knocks in another run for the Bucs as Drake Dobianski comes around to score, and it's now 3-1.
To the 8th.
In favor of the Bucs. That brings up Connor Bagnieski. One out and a runner on first base. Runner bluffs. Pitch misses inside. Ball 1. Throw over to first. Joseph is back in safely. Next offering is low. 2 balls, no strikes to Connor Bagnieski. Bagnieski walked in the first. Next pitch from Jeremy Adams in for a called strike. 1-2. 2-1 is the count against Bagnieski. Joseph leaves off first. Throw over there. He dives back in safely. The 2-1. Swung on and missed. And the count now 2-2 on the Buccaneers' designated hitter. Bagnieski already signed to go to Chicago State next year and play baseball at that level. Right now the 2-2 pitch is grounded foul down the first baseline. Coach Ben Bezier having to dodge out of the way, and now the ball rebounds back into fair play down the right field line, so they're going to have to wait until Andrew Mills, the right fielder, tracks it down and tosses it out of the field of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Runner on first with 1 out. We're in the bottom of the third, and the Bucs have come back to score 3 here in the third to take a 3-1 lead in Game 2. FSW won the first game of today's doubleheader 5-0. The 2-2 runner goes, ground ball to second base, and Filipowski's going to have to go to first to record the out there. So Bagnieski is out 4-3. Tommy Joseph now in scoring position at second base for the right fielder, Victor Florentino. Florentino lined out to the second baseman, Filipowski, in the second. Now he's up again here in the third. Jeremy Adams checks the runner at second, comes to the plate. Foul back to the screen, strike 1. One run, 5 hits, and 1 error for St. Petersburg. 3-4-1 for FSW. Buccaneers still have something going here in the third with the runner on second. The pitch to Florentino outside, and the count evens at 1-1. If Florentino can keep the inning going, Jose Marcano, the Bucs shortstop, will be next. Next pitch from Adams misses inside, and the count goes to 2-1. The wind still blowing strong to right field. If anything, it has picked up even more. And any ball hit in the air to right field should carry quite a ways as Florentino swings and misses. And the count now even at 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Runner on second base. FSW up 3-1 here in the bottom of the third. Pitch is swung on and missed in the dirt. Montenegro will throw down to first to record the putout, and that will do it for the Bucs in the bottom of the third. But they get 3 runs on 3 hits, 1 error, and 1 runner left on base. After 3, it's FSW 3 and St. Petersburg 1. This is Florida Southwestern baseball.
On FSW Athletics, log on to fswbucks.com or stay connected to the Bucs on social media. Follow the Buccaneers on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook on FSW Bucks.
First pitch of the top of the fourth is hit deep to right field, and that is out of here. Home run by St. Petersburg first baseman Mark Zawal. And just like that, the Titans have cut the lead to 1 at 3-2. So Zawal takes the first pitch of the top of the fourth over the right field fence. And as we've been saying all day, the wind is blowing out to right, but that one probably would have gotten out anyway. It was a well-hit ball. And so the big first baseman for the Titans puts the second run on the board for St. Petersburg of the afternoon, and that brings up Rodrigo Montenegro, the catcher. Montenegro grounded out to the second baseman back in the second. Swings and misses, and the count is 1-1. So the score now 3-2 in favor of Florida Southwestern. And no one out, of course, yet here in the top of the fourth for St. Petersburg. Next offering from Mason Adams misses, and the count goes to 2-1 on Montenegro. 2-1 pitch hits him on the elbow, and Montenegro is in some degree of pain. He had a guard on that elbow, so you could hear the sound of the ball hitting the plastic of the guard. But now the umpires are consulting while Montenegro tries to shake off the effect of that hit by pitch, and they are going to give him first base. I think there might have been some discussion whether Montenegro appropriately tried to get out of the way of that pitch. But he is awarded first base. And so still no one out here in the top of the fourth. And the second baseman, Dennis Filpovsky, comes to the plate. 2 runs, 6 hits, 1 error for St. Petersburg. 3 runs, 4 hits, 1 error for FSW. But the Titans already have 1 run in here at the top of the fourth, and they're looking for more with a runner at first and nobody out. First pitch to Filpovsky nearly hits him. Ball 1. Mason Adams on the mound for FSW, and now time is called as pitching coach Derek Conitzer comes out to talk with his starting pitcher. As we said before, this is the first start of the year for freshman Mason Adams. He has been effective from the bullpen throughout the season for the Bucs. Head coach Ben Bezier told us in between games that he liked the matchup of Adams and several of the St. Petersburg hitters, and so he was going to start Adams for the first time of the year. To this point, he's given up 2 runs on 6 hits. And he just hit the batter Montenegro, who's now at first base, and Filpovsky at the plate with a 1-0 count. We're ready to get back to action here. The 1-0 pitch. Hot shot down to third base, fielded cleanly by Kinch over to second base for Rincones, and the first base to Solomon, and the double play is completed. 5-4-3 around the horn double play. Pitcher's best friend. That's the second double play that the Bucs have turned here in Game 2. And that one came at a key moment after Mason Adams had given up a home run and a hit batter. A hot shot the opposite way by Filpovsky turns into a double play, and that brings up the designated hitter Riley Buckmaster. He fouls the first pitch off out of play, hits off the roof and bounces back into the field of play. It will be tracked down by someone out of the Bucs dugout. And the count 0-1 on Buckmaster. Buckmaster struck out in the second inning. Next pitch up high, 1-1. So Mason Adams in his first college start has scattered 6 hits through 3 2/3. Fly ball lifted to left field. That one's going to fall foul down the third base line, and the count now 1-2. As I was saying, Adams has scattered 6 hits. He has just 1 strikeout. He has not walked anyone, but he did hit Rodrigo Montenegro earlier this inning. But Montenegro was just erased on the double play grounder off the bat of Dennis Filpovsky. Now Buckmaster back in the left-hand hitter's batter's box. The count 1-2 with 2 outs and nobody on. Misses just low. Count evens at 2-2. Tyler Solomon playing on the edge of the outfield grass at first base against the big left-handed hitter. The 2-2 is lifted in the air to left field. Going back for it is Joseph. He's under it, and he's got it. And that will do it for the for the Titans in the top of the 4th. They get 1 run on 1 hit. The solo homer leading off the inning by Mike Zawal. No runners left on base, and at the end of 3.5, it's FSW 3, St. Petersburg 2. Three to two FSW on top as we head to the bottom of the 4th. Leading off for the Bucks will be shortstop Jose Marcano. First pitch to Marcano. He has to move out of the way inside. Ball 1. Marcano flew out to right fielder Andrew Mills back in the 2nd. Next pitch from Jeremy Adams in for a called strike, evens the count at 1-1. It will be Marcano, Kinch, and Morales for the Bucks here in the bottom of the 4th. The 1-1. Off speed, pitch up high, 2-1. Ball lifted into left field, drifting over the left fielder Sessa. He's under it. He's got it. 1 out.
Third baseman.
And that brings up Nate Kinch, the Buccaneers' third baseman. Kinch popped out to the third baseman in the 2nd. Still looking for his first hit of the afternoon after going 0 for 3 in game 1 of our doubleheader. First pitch down low. In case you missed it, the Bucks won game 1 5-0 behind the pitching of Ryan Gusto. Kinch fouls it back to the screen. Around the Suncoast Conference, one of the 2 other teams tied for first with FSW going into today. Hillsboro was down by 2 against Polk State, who entered the day tied for 4th with St. Petersburg. Hillsboro down by 2 going into the 9th inning. Scored 3 in the 9th to score the comeback win and stay tied with the Bucks. Ball's popped into right field by Kinch and fielded cleanly by Andrew Mills for the putout. 2 up and 2 down for the Bucks. That brings up the catcher, Shamir Morales. Morales had a single and came around to score in the kind of crazy third inning. Scored on the error on the bunt by Dobianski when the pitcher, Jeremy Adams, threw the ball well over the head of second baseman Dennis Filpovsky, who was covering first on the play. First pitch in for a strike. Strike two to the Buccaneers catcher. If Morales gets on, Tyler Solomon will be up for the Bucs. The 0-2 pitch up high and outside, 1-2. One-two pitch is fouled back. Shamir Morales signed to go to Bethune-Cookman next year and continue his collegiate baseball career. Swung on and missed. And that'll do it for the Bucs. 3 up and 3 down in the bottom of the fourth. We move on to the fifth. The score, FSW 3, St. Petersburg 2. This is Florida Southwestern Baseball from City of Palms Park in Fort Myers. Three to 2 FSW in Game 2 of today's doubleheader as we move into the top of the fifth. Leading off for St. Petersburg will be Jacob Sessa. Still on the hill for the Bucs, the starter Mason Adams. Sessa hits the first pitch the opposite way and picks up a single to left field. So Sessa now 2 for 2. He had a double in the third inning when his pop fly fell in between 3 fielders for the Bucs, and he came around to score the first run of the game for St. Petersburg. Now the Bucs lead 3 to 2. But here's St. Petersburg center fielder Jonathan Rodriguez with a runner on first and nobody out in the top of the fifth. Rodriguez squares around a bunt, shows bunt, pulls it back, pitches in the dirt, ball 1. Runner at first, Sessa, stays put. Rodriguez grounded out to the second baseman back in the third. Advanced the runner Sessa over to third. He eventually scored on a single by Harris. There's a ground ball the opposite way. Diving stop by Morales. He throws to first, not in time. Marcano, the shortstop for the Bucs, with a great diving stop and a strong throw to first. But that ball was so deep in the hole. And Rodriguez, a speedy runner out of the left-hand hitting batter's box, able to beat out the throw, so he'll get credited with an infield single. And advancing to second base will be Jacob Sessa. And again, the Titans have something going here in the top of the fifth. Runners on first and second and nobody out. Third baseman Nate Kinch giving some defensive signals to his teammates. He's 2 steps in on the infield grass. At first base, Solomon right at the edge of the grass, and the middle infielders playing close to the bag, and now time is called by catcher Shamir Morales, and we're going to have a little conference on the mound between Morales, his pitcher Mason Adams, and third baseman Nate Kinch. Andrew Mills, the leadoff hitter for the Titans here in Game 2. Singled in the first, grounded out in the third, so he's 1 for 2. He was stranded at third base in the first inning after the Titans started off with back-to-back singles. Josue Rangel hit into a 6-4-3 double play, and Mike Zaywall grounded out to the second baseman, and Mason Adams was able to get out of that first inning without giving up a run. Titans now have 8 hits on the afternoon, but the Bucs still hold the lead at this point, 3-2. We're in the top of the fifth, 2 runners on, nobody out. And Mills, the leadoff hitter, at the plate for St. Petersburg. Adams checks the runners, comes to the plate. Way outside, ball 1. Solomon now playing behind the runner at first base. Kinch still on the infield grass at third. Next pitch is in the dirt, blocked nicely by Morales. No one advances, but the count now 2-0 on Andrew Mills. Dustin Harris, the big third baseman, on deck for the Titans. Ground ball to shortstop. To second for 1. To first, there's a double play. And just like that, 2 outs. Again, the runner advances to third. That's Sessa at third base. But the 6-4-3 double play, the third double play of the game. Pitcher's best friend really helping out Mason Adams, and now with Dustin Harris coming to the plate, Adams is just 1 out away from getting out of this jam again. Harris time called on the infield. Harris steps out. Harris is 2 for 2, a pair of singles. He was erased by the double play ball off the bat of Rangel in the first. First pitch to him down low. Harris was forced at second base on the fielder's choice grounder by Rangel to end the third inning. Now he's up with a runner at third, 2 outs, top of the fifth. Bucs clinging to a 3-2 lead. The 1-0, outside ball 2. Solomon playing deep at first base against the left-handed hitting Harris. And now the Bucs are going to go ahead and walk Dustin Harris. So intentional pass given to Dustin Harris brings up Josue Rangel with runners at first and third and 2 outs here in the top of the fifth. Rangel has grounded out to the shortstop twice here in Game 2. Rangel was 0 for 4 in the first game, so still looking for his first hit of the afternoon. Steps in against Mason Adams. Solomon holding Harris at first. Foul ball at the plate, strike one. Infield playing at regular depth. Dobianski quite shallow in center. Joseph deeper in left. Florentino about regular depth as well in right field. The 0-1 pitch to Rangel. Ball. Runner goes to second. Does not draw a throw from Morales. So credit a stolen base to Dustin Harris, and now there's runners at second and third with 2 outs still here in the top of the fifth, and the count to Rangel is 1-1. Just low, 2-1. Titans tried to entice the Bucs into throwing down to second base and seeing if they could pull off a double steal and bring Sessa home from third. Morales decided to hold on to the ball and let Harris take second and focus on keeping the runner at third and getting Rangel out at the plate. We'll see how it works out. The 2-1 in for a called strike, 2-2. On deck is the big first baseman Mike Zaywall. He hit a home run his last time up to get the Titans on the board. The 2-2. Check swing in the dirt. Runners hold. The runner at second almost went on to third, and St. Petersburg almost wound up with 2 runners at third base as Sessa held at third, and Harris was more than halfway down from second to third, put on the brakes and scampered back to second without a throw. Full count now to Rangel. Here's the payoff pitch. Grounded foul over the Buccaneers dugout, and we'll do it again. Sessa at third, Harris at second. 2 outs in the top of the fifth. Pitch is lofted foul and out of play down the third baseline. So Rangel hanging tough. Mason Adams not giving in to the hitter. FSW clinging to a 3-2 lead. Adams gets the sign, comes set, and comes to the plate. Ball's in the dirt. Morales had a hard time locating it at first, but no one advances. Second walk of the inning given up by Mason Adams after the intentional walk issued to Dustin Harris. And now the bases are full, and the cleanup hitter, Mike Zaywall, at the plate. Again, he homered leading off the fourth. So he's 1 for 2 here in game 2. Comes to the plate with 2 outs and the bases loaded in the top of the fifth and asks for time. And now time is granted as Buccaneers coach Ben Bezier is coming to the mound, and all the infielders meeting him at the mound, and he's going to ask for the baseball from Mason Adams. So that'll do it for Mason Adams. We're going to have a pitching change. With the bases loaded, 2 outs in the top of the fifth, and FSW leading 3-2. We'll be back in a few moments. This is Florida Southwestern Baseball from City of Palms Park in Fort Myers. Back in action here at City of Palms Park with the bases loaded and 2 outs in the top of the 5th. The Bucks have a new pitcher. He's Joey Mugavero. Sophomore right-hander, 5'10", 220 from nearby Estero, Florida, here in Lee County. And he comes in quite a jam, as I said. Bases loaded, 2 outs at the plate. Slugging first baseman Mike Zawal. First pitch for Mugavero. Check swing, but they say he went around. Strike one, a call that is met with disbelief from the St. Petersburg dugout. Nonetheless, the count's 0-1. Bases full of Titans here in the top of the 5th. Pitch is popped to the infield and caught by the pitcher Mugavero. So a little looper off the handle by Zawal, and the rally is over. The Titans score 1 but leave 3, and we move to the bottom of the 5th. The score, FSW 3, St. Petersburg 2. It's 3-2 FSWs. We head to the bottom of the 5th, and up first for the Bucks will be the first baseman, Tyler Solomon. First pitch from Jeremy Adams. Way outside, all the way to the backstop. Ball 1. Solomon singled in the 3rd and came around to score one of the 3 Bucks runs here in Game 2. Fouls the second pitch back to the screen, and the count even at 1-1. It'll be Solomon, then back to the top of the order, Drake Dopiansky, and then Warner Rincones due up for the Bucks in the bottom of the 5th. Swung on and missed. The count now 1-2. Jeremy Adams still on the hill for St. Petersburg. He's gone the distance to this point. For the Bucks, Mason Adams ended up going 4 2/3. And then was replaced as the pitch is outside, 2-2. Mason Adams was replaced by Joey Mugavero, who worked his way out of the jam at the top of the 5th with the bases loaded. Induced a weak pop-up from the first baseman Zawal to end the inning. Next pitch in for called strike 3. Tyler Solomon caught looking, leading off the 5th. 4th strikeout of the game for Jeremy Adams, and that brings us back to the top of the order. Center fielder Drake Dopiansky. Dopiansky 0 for 2, reached on an error when he bunted. Sacrifice bunt in the 3rd, intended to move the runners up, ended up scoring a run when pitcher Adams threw the ball over the second baseman's head, covering first, leading to the big 3-run rally for the Bucks in the bottom of the 3rd. 2-0 the count to Dopiansky. Fouls the next pitch to the left side, up onto the roof. Count goes to 1-2. 1-2 pitch misses outside. Excuse me, it was a 2-1 pitch misses outside. The count now 3-1 on the Bucks center fielder. And there's ball 4 outside. So Dobianski on for the second time today, this time on a walk. And with 1 out and a runner on first, second baseman Warner Rincones coming to the plate. Rincones singled in the first, was erased at second place on a fielder's choice grounder off the bat of Tommy Joseph. And then Rincones hit a sacrifice fly to bring in a run for the Bucks in the third. So officially he's 1 for 1 here in game 2. Watches the first pitch from Jeremy Adams miss low, ball 1. Throw over to first is in the dirt and scooped out by Mike Zawal. Dobianski back in safely. As that one nearly got past the first baseman and would have allowed Dobianski to move up a base. But instead he's still at first. Count 1-0 on Rincones. 1 out. Bottom of the 5th, the Bucks lead 3-2. Dobianski with a sizable lead off first. The throw goes back to first. He's in safely standing up. Although the play was closer than he may have expected. And some calls from the St. Petersburg dugout thinking he might have been out. Now he runs with the pitch. The throw down to second base. Bounces in and is not handled by Filipowski. Bounces up and may have caught Filipowski in the face. As he kind of turned away from it. He appears to be okay, and Dobianski at second now with the stolen base. The throw down to second by Montenegro hit right at the edge of the infield grass and took a bounce that Filipowski wasn't expecting. He was not able to handle the throw cleanly. So Dobianski in with the stolen base. Now Filipowski bluffs him back to second, but the pitch comes to the plate. Misses, and the count is now 2-1. Pitch to Rincones is bounced through the right side for a base hit, coming around, but now putting on the brakes around third base is Dobianski, and he goes back to third base. It looked like Dobianski, coming from second base, was going to be able to round third and score, but he got about a third of the way down the baseline and stopped and went back. Assistant coach Derek Konitzer now down there to talk it over Dobianski, and I'm not sure that he was very pleased with Dobianski deciding to stop. He may have wanted to challenge the arm of Andrew Mills out there in right field. But instead, it's runners on the corners with 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th after the base hit by Rincones. And that brings about a visit to the mound by St. Petersburg. Coaching staff and infield all gathered on the mound with runners at first and third, 1 out. FSW ahead 3-2 in the second game of today's doubleheader. In case you missed it, Florida Southwestern won game 1 by a final score of 5-0 behind the pitching of their ace Ryan Gusto, who went the distance, complete game shutout. The meeting on the mound is over. No change in pitching right now for the Titans. And so with left fielder Tommy Joseph at the plate for FSW, the bottom of the 5th continues. Runners at first and third, 1 out. Joseph reached on a fielder's choice in the first and singled in the third, so he's 1 for 2 here in game 2. First pitch off speed, misses, much to the disbelief of Adams and some comments from the St. Petersburg dugout. Ball 1. Dobianski at third, Rincones at first. See if he tries to take second, put a little pressure on the St. Petersburg defense. He holds, swung on and missed, but the ball gets by the catcher all the way to the backstop. The throw to the plate, not in time. Now it gets away from the pitcher, and Rincones heads for third. The throw over to third is not in time. So Dobianski scores on the pass ball. Rincones moved up there to second on the pass ball, but then the throw from the catcher, Montenegro, back to Adams, the pitcher covering the plate, got away from Adams. So an error on the play allows Rincones to make it all the way to third. The Bucs get another run. They lead now 4-2 with a runner on third and 1 out. And the count 1-1 on Tommy Joseph. 2-1 now to Joseph. Swung on and missed by Joseph. The count even at 2-2. So the Bucs have turned a walk and a single, along with a stolen base and some loose defense by the Titans into a run here in the bottom of the fifth. Joseph fouls the pitch down the third base line, and the count remains 2-2. On deck for the Bucs, Connor Bagnieski to follow Joseph. Next pitch from Adams, well outside, and the count is full at 3-2. Joseph asked for time but didn't get it, and the pitch comes in. He swings and misses, and strike 3. Tommy Joseph held up his hand as Adams was taking a long time to come to the plate. It appeared to be asking for home plate, but it was not granted, and the pitch came. He swung and missed, and big second out here in the bottom of the fifth. So that brings up the cleanup hitter, Connor Bagnieski, the Bucs' designated hitter, 0 for 1 with a walk so far in this game. First pitch to Bagnieski catches the outside corner, strike 1. 2 runs, 8 hits, 2 errors for St. Petersburg. 4 runs, 5 hits, and 1 error for the Bucs here in the bottom of the fifth. 0-1 pitch misses outside, 1-1. One pitch right down the middle, and Bagnieski is behind 1-2. Should he be able to get on base and keep the inning going, Victor Florentino would follow for the Bucs. Time granted now to Bagnieski. Jeremy Adams pitching from the windup with the runner on third. Just misses there. Was hoping to get the call to end the inning. Instead, it's 2-2 with 2 outs and a runner at third. Rincones taking a short lead at third base. Here's the pitch. Outside, and the count. Oh, they called strike 3. Wow, that one looked well outside from here, and that's the way it looked to Connor Bagnieski as well. Now, St. Petersburg has been complaining about the calls a bit, so maybe it's evened out. So the Bucs do pick up a run on a hit with an error and leave 1. Through 5, it's 4-2. FSW, you're listening to Florida Southwestern Baseball from City of Palms Park in Fort Myers, Florida.
catcher, Rodrigo Montenegro. Second baseman, Dennis Filipowski.
Rodrigo Montenegro hit by a pitch starting off the top of the sixth for St. Petersburg. So he's on first as Dennis Filipowski comes to the plate, shows bunt, and pulls it back. Montenegro now has been hit by a pitch twice here in Game 2. Filipowski singled in the second, grounded into a 5-4-3 double play on a hard hit ball to third base in the fourth. Bunts that one foul, and the count now 1-1. Joey Mugavero on the mound for the Bucks in relief of starter Mason Adams, who went 4 2/3, gave up 2 runs on 8 hits. Mugavero came in with the bases loaded and 2 outs last inning and was able to work out of the jam by getting Mike Zaywall, the first baseman for St. Petersburg, to pop weakly to the pitcher. Throw over to first, and back in standing up is Montenegro. Ball's popped in the air behind home plate. Coming over to make the play and making the grab at the last minute is the catcher, Shamir Morales. The wind is blowing out there, and Morales had a hard time getting under it, but reached out his arm towards the dugout and made the catch with the glove extended at arm's length. And so Filipowski fouls out to the catcher in foul territory. And that brings up Riley Buckmaster, the Titans' designated hitter, with one out, and a runner on first base. Buckmaster fouls the first pitch back to the screen. 0-1. Buckmaster 0 for 2, struck out in the second, and flied out to the left fielder in the fourth inning. Pitch from Mugavero in for a called strike, and he's quickly ahead of Buckmaster, 0-2. The 0-2, outside, ball 1. Mugavero gets the sign, comes to the plate. Whoa, there's a line shot foul over the dugout on the first base side into the stands. Everybody's okay, fortunately. As Buckmaster way out ahead of that one. Ripped it foul. Count remains 1-2. Mugavero misses inside, the count even at 2-2. Montenegro the runner at first. One out in the top of the sixth. FSW leading 4-2. The 2-2. Swung on and missed. Riley Buckmaster strikes out for the second time of the game. That's the first strikeout for Joey Mugavero. 2 out and a runner on first, and that brings up Jacob Sessa. Sessa 2 for 2 so far in the game. Hit a pop fly that fell in for a bloop double back in the third inning, and then singled in the fifth. Swings at the first offering from Mugavero. Strike one. Hard hit ball foul down the first baseline. Now Mugavero's out in front 0-2 against Jacob Sessa, the Titans left fielder. Again, the ball winds up in fair territory down the right field line, so there's a pause in the action while it's retrieved and removed from the field of play. Here's the pitch up high. Throw down to second base. The runner is going, and he's going to get in there as Marcano can't come up with the throw from Morales. So a delayed steal pulled off by Rodrigo Montenegro caused Morales to double clutch because no one was down at second base to cover initially. And then the throw bounced to Marcano, and he could not field it cleanly. Runner at second. Ball's fouled off the foot by Jacob Sessa. And the count remains 1-2. So Montenegro at second. 2 outs. Bucks leading 4-2 here in the top of the sixth. And now Mugavero, the pitcher for the Bucks, backs off and asks for the signs once again. Checks the runner, comes to the plate. Down low, 2-2. Infield at regular depth. Ball's lifted in the air on the first base side, and that one's going to get out of play. Land in the seats just behind the St. Petersburg dugout. The count remains 2-2. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Runner at second base. FSW leading 4-2. We're in the top of the sixth inning in game 2. Another foul ball down the first base line. Jacob Sessa hanging tough against Joey Mugavero. If Sessa keeps the inning going, he'll be followed by center fielder Jonathan Rodriguez. 2-2 pitch misses up high. And Sessa has worked the count full at 3-2. The 3-2 pitch hit in the air to center field. Camping underneath it is Drake Dobianski, and he makes the catch easily. And the threat is over in the top of the sixth. No runs, no hits, but a runner left at second base. We move to the bottom of the sixth. FSW 4, St. Petersburg 2. This is Florida Southwestern Baseball from City of Palms Park in Fort Myers, Florida.
Leading off for the Bucks, right fielder Victor Florentino.
We move on to the bottom of the sixth here at City of Palms Park in Fort Myers, with the Bucks leading 4-2. Up first for FSW is the right fielder Victor Florentino, and the first pitch he sees this at bat is in for a called strike one. Jeremy Adams, the starter for St. Petersburg, still in there. As we begin the bottom of the sixth, Florentino fouls one off his foot. And the throw over to first, and the home plate umpire is not going to rule that went off the foot. They're going to say that ball was in play. Clearly, it went off the foot of Florentino, as he didn't even bother to run to first base. But neither umpire saw it, and so that goes down as a 5-3 putout from the third baseman to the first baseman. And Florentino is retired. So the Bucks get a bad break there, and that will bring up the shortstop, Jose Marcano. Marcano flied out to right in the second, flied out to left in the fourth. Watches the first pitch miss for ball one. And the next one from Jeremy Adams is in for a called strike, evening the count at 1-1. 2 runs, 8 hits, and 2 errors for St. Petersburg. 4, 5, and 1 for the Bucks as we play in the bottom of the sixth. Next offering from Adams misses up high, and the count is 2-1 on the Bucks shortstop. Marcano will be followed by Nate Kinch, and if they're able to keep the inning going beyond that, it'll be Shamir Morales. Next pitch from Jeremy Adams in for a called strike, evening the count at 2-2. The 2-2 pitch misses down low, and the count goes full. The Titans play Marcano straight away. The 3-2 pitch, grounded foul, bounced into the Buccaneers dugout, and the count remains full at 3-2. Payoff pitch misses inside, and Jose Marcano works a base on balls, from Jeremy Adams with 1 out here in the bottom of the sixth.
Third baseman Nate Kinch.
That brings up Nate Kinch, the Bucks' third baseman. He popped out to the third baseman in the second, flew out to right field in the fourth, and now here he is at the plate in the sixth with a runner on first going on the pitch, but the ball is fouled back to the screen. And so Marcano will have to retreat to first base. Oh, 1 pitch is grounded to the left side, fielded at third to second for 1, back to first in time for the double play. And the Titans pull off the 5-4-3 double play to end the bottom of the sixth. No runs, hits, or errors, nobody left. We move on to the seventh with the score FSW 4, St. Petersburg 2. This is Florida Southwestern baseball. We move on to the top of the 7th here from City of Palms Park. We have a new pitcher for Florida Southwestern, third pitcher of the game. That's number 23, Nate Madej. And the first batter he will face for St. Petersburg in the top of the 7th is the center fielder, Jonathan Rodriguez. First pitch misses, ball 1. Madej, as I said, the third pitcher of the game for the Bucks. Misses outside, ball 2. Mason Adams went 4 2/3, gave up 2 runs on 8 hits. Joey Mugavero came in to get out of a bases-loaded jam with 2 outs in the 5th and pitched the 6th, so he goes 1 1/3. As Madej misses outside, falls behind 3-0. Mugavero 1 1/3, no runs, no hits, 1 strikeout, and he did hit a batter. He did not walk any batters. And now Shamir Morales calls timeout. He wants to go out and talk to his new pitcher, Nate Madej. Madej is a redshirt freshman, left-hander, 6', 195 from Lamont, Illinois. Morales has delivered his message and jogs back to the plate. As Jonathan Rodriguez, the St. Petersburg center fielder, awaits the 3-0 pitch from Nate Madej. Catches the outside corner, so the count goes to 3-1. After Rodriguez, we go back to the top of the lineup for the Titans. It'll be Andrew Mills, followed by Dustin Harris here in the top of the 7th. The 3-1 pitch also catches the outside corner, and now the count is full at 3-2. Rodriguez 1 for 2 so far in Game 2 after going 2 for 4 in the first game of our doubleheader. So he's 3 for 6 on the afternoon, leading off the 7th here in Game 2. The 3-2 pitch fouled out of play on the third base side, bounces into the stands and bounces back out. And Rodriguez will come back to the plate and try it all over again with a full count. Nobody on, nobody out here in the top of the 7th. Swung on and missed. So Nate Madej falls behind Rodriguez 3-0 and comes all the way back to get him. Pick up the strikeout for the first out of the top of the 7th inning. Here's Andrew Mills. Mills 1 for 3 in Game 2. Singled in the first, was stranded at third. Grounded out in the third and hit into a 6-4-3 double play in the 5th. Now here he is swinging and missing, fouling off the first pitch from Madej with 1 out in the top of the 7th. The wind continues to blow strong to right field as Madej misses wide. It's been blowing in that direction all day. We've had a couple of home runs that may have been aided a bit by the prevailing winds. Madej just misses outside. Shamir Morales holding the ball where he caught it for a while to let the umpire get a good look at it. But nonetheless, the count goes to 2-1. Gets that one in what appeared to be very much the same spot. So it evens out. Count 2-2 on the Titans right fielder. Swung on and missed. Nate Madej picks up his second strikeout in as many batters. And with 2 outs and nobody on, that brings up the third baseman for St. Petersburg, Dustin Harris. Harris has been on all 3 times he's come to the plate so far in Game 2. He singled in the first, was wiped out on a double play grounder. Singled in the third, was forced out on a fielder's choice, and was intentionally walked in the 5th as the first offering from Madej is in for a called strike. In the 5th, Harris was walked, eventually made it all the way to third base, but was stranded there when the rally was ended by a pop-out by Mike Zawal. Strike two from Madej, who seems to have found his groove now after struggling on his first few pitches here in his first inning of work on the afternoon. He's ahead in the count 0-2. Misses outside. Four to 2 Buccaneers in the top of the seventh of game two. Nate Madej in his first inning of work induces a weak ground ball off the batter's foot, and the umpire hears about it from the Bucks dugout, and here is Ben Bezier now out complaining, as in the last half inning, Victor Florentino, the Bucks batter, grounded one off his foot, stayed at home plate. The umpire said it never hit his foot and called him out on the play, and now the Bucks aren't so sure that Dustin Harris hit that ball off his foot, but it popped up in front of home plate. Immediately the call was foul ball, and they counted 1-2. Here's the pitch. Lined the opposite way, but foul down the third baseline. And Harris stays alive with the count 1-2. 2 outs, nobody on in the top of the seventh. Little weak looper is just going to get by the shortstop, over the shortstop's head for a single for Dustin Harris. So Harris did not get solid contact, but it was just enough to loop over the head of Jose Marcano for an opposite field single and keep the inning going for the Titans. That'll bring up Josue Rangel, the shortstop, who's 0 for 2 with a walk here in game two. Swings at the first pitch, pops it up, out of play behind home plate. Off the roof above us, strike one. Rangel grounded into a 6-4-3 double play in the first, grounded to the shortstop for a fielder's choice in the third, and was walked in the fifth. So officially he's 0 for 2 here in game two. Harris with the lead off first. The pitch outside, the count even at 1-1. Rangel, right-handed hitter, has a big gap to work with between shortstop and third base as Marcano is playing close to second, and Kinch is guarding the line at third. Big swing and a miss. Almost corkscrews himself into the ground, and the count goes to 1-2. If Rangel gets on, then Mike Zawal, the first baseman, will come up here in the top of the seventh for St. Petersburg. The 1-2 misses inside, 2-2. Lifted high in the air down the third baseline. That one's going to make it to the stands and then bounce back out onto the field of play. Count remains 2-2 for Josue Rangel, the St. Petersburg shortstop. The Titans have out-hit the Bucks 9-5 here in game two, but the Bucks lead in the important category, runs. It's a 4-2 ball game with 2 outs and a runner on first in the top of the seventh. The pitch popped in the air to right side. Rincones, the second baseman. Instead, it's the right fielder Florentino who makes the catch to end the top of the seventh. We head to the seventh inning stretch with the score FSW 4, St. Petersburg 2. This is Florida Southwestern baseball. Shamir Morales leads off for the Bucks in the bottom of the 7th by watching a called strike one from the new St. Petersburg pitcher. That's Gabriel Partridge, a freshman on the mound for the Titans. Morales pops it up into the outfield, and out in right field, that is Andrew Mills, and he makes the grab. So Morales is retired on a fly ball to the right fielder for the first out in the bottom of the 7th. Also, a defensive change for the Titans here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Out in left field, a new left fielder replacing Jacob Sessa, the man who played left field in Game 1, Orlando Aravalo. Here's Tyler Solomon, the Bucks' first baseman at the plate. Count 1-0. And the second pitch from Gabriel Partridge misses low, 2-0. Outside, 3-0. So close the book on Jeremy Adams, the starter for the Titans. He goes 6 innings, gives up 4 runs on 5 hits. He recorded 6 strikeouts and 1 walk. He was not helped by the defense, as his defense committed 2 errors behind him. And now his replacement on the mound, Gabriel Partridge, walks the Bucks' first baseman, Tyler Solomon, on 4 pitches. So Solomon down to first. We go back to the top of the lineup for the Bucks and Drake Dobianski. Dobianski is 0 for 2 officially. Or scratch that, 0 for 1. But he scored twice, throw over to first, and Solomon is back in safely. Dobianski struck out in the first, sacrifice bunt in the third. He was safe on an error, pitching by the pitcher, Jeremy Adams, a throwing error. Eventually scored. And then in the 5th, he walked and eventually scored again. Swung on and missed. So only 1 official plate appearance, considering the sacrifice bunt and the walk. But Dobianski has scored 2 of the Bucks' 4 runs. Now he's at the plate with 1 out and a runner on first here in the bottom of the 7th. Throw over to first again, in the dirt, scooped out by Zawal. And back in safely is Tyler Solomon. Dobianski has a big hole to work with on the right side as the first baseman is holding the runner on. He bluffs, throw down to first, and Solomon's back in safely. The count on Dobianski now 0-2 as he chased a high one there. After Dobianski, Warner Rinconis will come to the plate for the Bucks. The 1-2 pitch, outside, 2-2. Popped up down the third base line into foul territory. Making the grab is the third baseman, Dustin Harris. Solomon, the runner at first, bluffs running to second, but will stay put. And Dobianski is retired on a foul pop to the third baseman. So with 2 outs and a runner on first, Warner Rinconis to the plate. The Bucks' second baseman is 2 for 2 with a sac fly. So 2 singles and a sac fly here in Game 2 for Rinconis. Runner goes, pitch is inside. The throw to second is not in time. It gets past the second baseman out into center field, but Solomon will stay put at second base. So credit Tyler Solomon with the stolen base. Runner in scoring position now for Rinconis. Singled in the first, drove in a run with a sac fly in the third, and singled but was stranded at third base in the fifth. Partridge bluffs a throw to second base. Solomon back in without a throw. Strike to Rincones. Rincones' father is a hitting coach in the minor leagues of the Tampa Bay Rays organization. So he's grown up knowing now how to handle a bat, looking to drive in an insurance run for the Bucs here now in the bottom of the seventh. The 1-1. Lined into left field. That one's going to fall in the center. Rounding third and scoring is Solomon. The throw will be cut off. And Warner Rincones does exactly that. Drives in a run with a single. And the Bucs lead is now 3 at 5-2.
Left fielder, Tommy Joseph.
Nice job of hitting by Warner Rincones. Freshman from Englewood, Florida. Sure his father will be happy when he sees that bit of hitting. And with 2 outs and a runner on first now, and the Bucs now leading 5-2, here's left fielder Tommy Joseph. Throw over to first, Rincones back in easily. Joseph is 1 for 3 here in the second game of the doubleheader. Grounded into a fielder's choice in the first, singled in the third, struck out in the fifth. Another throw to first, and again, Rincones back in safely. Gabriel Partridge, in his first inning of work on the mound for the Titans right now, paying a lot of attention to Warner Rincones on first base, who's getting a good lead, and he's off with the pitch. The pitch is outside. The throw to second, not in time. Again, it goes into center field, but again, the Buccaneer runner will stay at second. The throw from Montenegro nowhere near being there in time, and Filipowski, covering the bag, wasn't able to come up with it safely, or cleanly, I should say, but no further damage done as center fielder Rodriguez was backing up the play. So Rincones in scoring position at second now with 2 outs, a 1-0 count on Tommy Joseph. Pitch to the plate, in for a called strike. Evens the count at 1-1. 2 runs, 9 hits, 2 errors for St. Petersburg. 5 runs, 6 hits, and 1 error for the Bucs. Second pitcher of the game, Partridge, on the hill for St. Petersburg, misses outside to Joseph, and the count goes to 2-1. Connor Bagnieski, the Bucs' designated hitter, in the on-deck circle, hoping he gets a chance here in the seventh. The 2-1 pitch misses outside, 3-1. Joseph, a left-handed hitter. Second baseman Filipowski playing him on the edge of the outfield grass. Throw to second base. Rincones back in safely as the shortstop Rangel sneaked in behind him. Partridge wheeled and delivered to second, but not in time. 3-1, the count to Joseph. In for a strike, and the count is full at 3-2. Three-two pitch grounded towards short, fielded cleanly by Rangel, over to first, and that'll do it for the Bucs in the bottom of the seventh. But they do score an important insurance run. At the end of 7, it's FSW 5, St. Petersburg 2. This is Florida Southwestern Baseball from City of Palms Park in Fort Myers, Florida.
For the Titans, first baseman, Mike Zoll.
5-2 FSW as we head into the top of the 8th here in Game 2 of our doubleheader at City of Palms Park. Leading off for St. Petersburg in the top of the 8th. First baseman Mike Zawal watches the first pitch from Nate Madej miss, ball 1. Time called at the plate. Zawal hit a home run in the 4th, solo shot for the second run for the Titans. Launches one, a high pop down the right field line this time, battling the sun, Victor Florentino, and he makes the grab in fair territory to retire Zawal. First out of the 8th. That'll bring up the catcher, Rodrigo Montenegro. Montenegro is officially 0 for 1. He's been hit by a pitch twice here in Game 2 after grounding out to the second baseman his first time up. So he's 0 for 1. Been on base twice, has not scored. And the first pitch from the third Buck pitcher of the day, Nate Madej, is in for a called strike 1. Strike 2 from Madej. Madej working quickly, misses outside, and the count goes to 1-2. Outside again, and the count now even at 2-2. To the Titans catcher, Rodrigo Montenegro. The 2-2 pitch in the dirt. And Montenegro, after falling behind 0-2, has worked the count full. Dennis Filpovsky, the St. Petersburg second baseman, in the on-deck circle. The payoff pitch. Fouled back to the screen, and we'll do it again, 3-2. Fouled at the plate. That one caught a little bit of the catcher, Shamir Morales. They have gotten him on the bare hand. He shakes it off, gets back in his crouch. The count remains 3-2, 1 out, nobody on here in the top of the 8th. Madej rocks and pitches. Inside corner, swung on and missed. Strike 3. He jammed Montenegro, who couldn't get his bat on the ball. And that's the third strikeout already recorded by Nate Madej. 2 outs and nobody on for the Titans, and that brings up Phil Povsky, the second baseman. He singled but was caught stealing in the second, grounded into a double play in the fourth, and popped out to the catcher in foul territory in the sixth. Now he fouls off the first pitch. That's up on the roof on the right field side. Strike 1. Mason Adams started for the Bucks, went 4 2/3. Joey Mugavero went an inning and a third, and now Nate Madej in his second inning of work catches the inside corner, strike 2 on Dennis Filpovsky, St. Petersburg second baseman. The 0-2 up high, 1-2. Ground ball foul down the third base line, and the count remains 1-2. A bright, sunny afternoon at this point at City of Palms Park in Fort Myers. We were a bit overcast earlier in the day, but right now the sun is shining and presenting a bit of a challenge for fielders on the right side of the infield, and especially for right fielders, as Madej misses inside and the count goes to 2-2. For Victor Florentino, the Bucks right fielder, that sun not making things any easier. And there's a fly ball out to right field, down the line, and that's going to be close to being fair ball. It is a fair ball into the corner, and a double rounding the second base, but staying there is Dennis Filpovsky. So a 2-out double for the Titans' second baseman, landing just a few feet inside the foul line on the warning track down the right field line. So Filpovsky with the double. That's the 10th hit of the ball game for the Titans, but they trail 5-2 with 2 outs here in the top of the 8th. And a runner at second base. Here's the designated hitter, Ryan Buckmaster. Buckmaster is 0 for 3. And time has been called, and we may see a pinch hitter. Buckmaster, as I said, has struck out twice and flied out to left field, and he is indeed going to be pinch hit for. Going to bring in a right-handed hitter to take on the Bucks left-hander, Nate Madej. Pinch hitting for Buckmaster is Mike Novak, a backup catcher. So Novak at the plate, 2 outs, runner on second base. The Bucks with a 5-2 lead, and the first pitch from Madej misses outside and low, ball 1. Key moment in the ball game right here, as the Bucks with a 3-run lead do not want to see the Titans close the gap at all. Ground ball off the screen in front of the Titans dugout, and the count 1-1. Titans with only 4 outs left in the ball game to work with, 3 runs down. The Bucks would like to shut them down here and go into the 9th with at least the 3-run lead that they enjoy right now. The 1-1 from Madej. On the outside corner, strike 2. Novak thought about it, held back. But then the call, strike. And now Madej is 1 strike away from getting out of the inning. The 1-2. Fouled off out of play. Over on the first base side, and the count remains 1-2. One ball, two strikes. Runner on second, two outs in the top of the eighth. The Bucks lead 5-2. Madej checks the runner, comes to the plate. Fouled it back to the screen. Novak, the pinch hitter, hangs tough at 1-2. In the on-deck circle, the new left fielder as of the top of the inning, Orlando Aravalo, who played left field in the first game of our doubleheader. Hoping to get a turn at the plate here in the eighth. High chopper over the mound. That's going to be trouble for the Bucks infield. The throw to first not in time. Staying at third is the runner, Filipowski. So Mike Novak beats out an infield single. Second hit of the inning and 11th of the game. It moves Filipowski over to third. And now with runners at the corners, here's Orlando Aravalo with his first at-bat of Game 2. And he represents the tying run at the plate. Aravalo was 0 for 4 in Game 1. Flied out to the outfield all 4 times. Once to right, 3 times to center field. Now he's facing Nate Madej. And time is called by the Buccaneers. Ben Bezier heading out to the mound. The whole infield congregates at the mound. We're going to talk over what to do in this critical situation. St. Petersburg with 2 runs on 11 hits and 2 errors. To this point, they have stranded 7. The Bucks with 5 runs on just 6 hits. Of course, they've benefited from those 2 St. Petersburg errors. FSW has left 4 runners on base through their first 7 times at the plate. And we're going to see a change here on the mound for the Bucks. So Nate Madej is done after going 2/3 of an inning. And we'll be back to tell you about the new pitcher in just a moment. The Bucks lead 5-2 in the top of the 8th. This is Florida Southwestern Baseball. The new pitcher for FSW here with 2 outs in the 8th is Thomas Haggerty. Sophomore, 6'6", 225 from Fort Lauderdale. He'll be going to FAU next year, but right now he's facing a tough situation. Runners on the corners, 2 outs. First pitch to Orlando Aravado, misses outside, ball 1. So Nate Madej, I want to correct something. I think I may have said he only pitched 2/3 of an inning. He goes 1 2/3, gives up 3 hits, strikes out 3, but he's responsible for the runners on base here with 2 outs in the 8th, and the Bucks holding a 5-2 lead. Haggerty comes to the plate. Pitch is fouled off by Aravado. And the count goes to 0-2. Aravado's first plate appearance of Game 2. Swung on and missed, and the count goes to 1-2. Count was indeed 1-1. We had it incorrect for a moment on the scoreboard, but now we've got it straightened out. 1 ball, 2 strikes from Thomas Haggerty, the big right-hander for the Bucks. The 1-2. Swung on and missed in the dirt. The throw will go down to first. Tyler Solomon makes the catch, touches the bag, and Thomas Haggerty strikes out Orlando Aravalo to end the threat. That'll do it for St. Petersburg. In the top of the 8th, no runs on 2 hits, no Buck errors, and 2 runners left. We go to the bottom of the 8th with the score FSW 5, St. Petersburg 2. This is Florida Southwestern baseball. We move on to the bottom of the 8th here at City of Palms Park, and Connor Bagnieski, the Bucks' designated hitter, swings at the first pitch, lofts it into short right field. Coming on is Andrew Mills, and he makes the catch for the first out of the 8th. So 1 pitch, 1 out for Florida Southwestern here in the bottom of the 8th. They hold a 5-2 lead after winning Game 1 5-0 over St. Petersburg. And that'll bring up Victor Florentino. Bucks right fielder is 0 for 3 here in Game 2. Lined out to the second baseman, struck out, and grounded out to third base. First pitch from Gabriel Partridge to Florentino, in for a called strike 1. Line drive right to the shortstop. And so Florentino has had a rough day here. Hit the ball hard, but on a line right at someone twice. Remember, back in the 6th, he hit that ground ball off his foot, but the umpires did not rule that it had hit his foot, so he was thrown out on the grounder without ever leaving the batter's box. And now he lines out to the shortstop. So 2 up and 2 down. And here's Jose Marcano, the Bucks shortstop. Marcano 0 for 2 with a walk here in the second game. Gabriel Partridge working quickly. First pitch in for a called strike. Next one right up off the mound, off the foot of the pitcher and over to third base, and without a throw, Jose Marcano is going to be safe at first base on an infield single. That one right back to the mound. And Partridge, the pitcher, could not get his glove down. It went off his heel and ricocheted over to third base, where it was fielded by Harris, but no chance for him to make a play on Jose Marcano. So the Bucs pick up a hit with 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th, and that brings up Nate Kinch. Kinch 0 for 3 here in the second game of the doubleheader. Popped out to the third baseman, flew out to right field, and grounded into a 5-4-3 double play his last time up. The Bucs have been out hit 11-7 now, but they lead in the only category that really counts, runs. It's 5-2 FSW. The Bucs looking to sweep the doubleheader and keep up pace at the top of the Suncoast Conference. FSW came into the day tied for first with Hillsboro and SCF. We know Hillsboro has won a game today. The Bucs have won a game today, and they're looking to win another one. Throw over to first. Back in safely is Marcano. There's a balk, and the runner will go on to second as the pitcher, Partridge, seemed to change his mind at the last minute, like he was going to go to first, and then he decided to pitch it anyhow, and he hesitated and stopped in his motion and then pitched to the plate. And home plate umpire, I believe both umpires were all over that one. That was clearly a balk. So moving on down to second is Jose Marcano. And now a runner in scoring position for Nate Kinch. Next pitch is way up high. And the count on Kinch is 1-0, as the previous pitch was a dead ball when the balk was called, so it did not count as a pitch. 1-0 to Kinch. Runner on second, 2 outs, bottom of the 8th. Kinch holds up, but the call strike on the outside corner evens the count at 1-1. Jeremy Adams started for the Titans, went 6 innings, gave up 5 hits and 4 runs. Partridge came in to start the 7th. He's now in his 2nd inning of work. Shamir Morales, the Bucs catcher, on deck. Should Kinch be able to keep the inning going? Swung on, fouled off down the right field side and well out of play. Count goes to 1-2. The 1-2, way up high, 2-2 to the Bucs' third baseman. The sun has gone behind the clouds once again here at City of Palms. It's a cool April day by Florida standards, at least. 2-2 pitch is low, and the count goes full 3-2. The wind has been blowing out to right field steadily throughout the afternoon. Partridge looks in, gets the sign, checks the runner at second base. The 2-2. Fouled off. Back up into the screen. And the count will stay at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Marcano, the runner at second base. Kinch, the batter. Full count, 2 outs. The Bucs leading 5-2 in the bottom of the 8th. Gabriel Partridge, the pitcher for St. Petersburg. Checks the runner, comes to the plate. Fouled off again. Out of play. Kinch is hanging tough. And we'll do it again. Nate Kinch, the redshirt freshman from Iron Station, North Carolina, a transfer from Coastal Carolina. Playing third base in both games of today's doubleheader. awaits the 3-2 pitch. Outside, ball 4. And so the Bucs have runners at first and second with 2 outs. And Shamir Morales, the catcher, comes to the plate. Morales is 1 for 3, singled and scored in the third, struck out in the fourth, and flied out to right field in the seventh. We're going to have a pinch runner at first for Morales. Running at first base would be number 10, Thomas Bennett. So 2 runners on, 2 outs. The Bucs with a 5-2 lead. We're in the bottom of the 8th. And Shamir Morales is at the plate. First pitch is strike 1. We've got Bennett running at first base for Kinch. And Shamir Morales at the plate, awaiting the 0-1 pitch from Gabriel Partridge. In for called strike 2, and quickly Partridge is ahead 0-2. Swung on and missed. Morales goes down on strikes. And that'll do it for the Bucs in the bottom of the 8th. They get 2 on through a single and a walk, but can't bring anybody home. No runs on 1 hit, no errors by the Titans, and 2 runners left on base. We head to the 9th with the Bucs leading 5-2. This is Florida Southwestern Baseball from City of Palms Park in Fort Myers, Florida. We head to the top of the 9th here at City of Palms Park with the Bucs leading 5-2 over St. Petersburg. Up first for the Titans, the center fielder, Jonathan Rodriguez. First pitch inside from the 4th Bucs pitcher of the day, Thomas Haggerty. Mason Adams started and went 4 2/3. Joey Mugavero went an inning and a third. Nate Madej an inning and 2/3. Haggerty came in to finish the 8th, and now he's here to finish the job in the 9th. He misses outside and falls behind Rodriguez 2-0. Foul ball down the first base line. The count goes to 2-1. Thomas Bennett, who came in to run for Nate Kinch in the bottom of the 8th, stays in the game to play third base. And he's on the infield grass down third base way. This offering from Haggerty misses outside, and the count goes to 3-1. Fouled off by Rodriguez down the third base line. Coming in to make the catch is Tommy Joseph.
Right fielder.
Tommy Joseph came a long way. Thomas Bennett, the third baseman, just into the game, was retreating, trying to get to the ball, looking back over his shoulder, and Joseph makes the running catch in foul territory to retire the first batter in the top of the 9th. We go back to the top of the order for the Titans. Andrew Mills at the plate. First pitch from Haggerty is swung on and missed by Mills. Mills 1 for 4, singled in the first, was stranded at third base. Since then, he's grounded out to the second baseman, grounded into a 6-4-3 double play, and struck out. Next pitch is fouled back to the screen, and quickly Haggerty in front, 0-2. Dustin Harris, the St. Petersburg third baseman, is on deck. The 0-2 swung on and missed. Mills goes down swinging, and the Titans are down to their last out.
Third baseman.
Bucks are 1 out away from the doubleheader sweep, but in throwing the ball around the horn after that strikeout, it gets away out into the outfield, so we have a brief delay while Victor Florentino flags it down, gets it back into the infield, and now Dustin Harris represents the last hope for the Titans. The St. Petersburg third baseman is 3 for 3 with an intentional walk. So he's done his share, but his teammates have not been able to bring him around to score in any of his 4 plate appearances. And now with 2 outs and nobody on in the 9th, he faces Thomas Haggerty, who catches the outside corner with the first pitch for strike 1. 5-2 Bucks. They won the first game of the doubleheader 5-0. And are looking to finish off the doubleheader sweep right here. Next pitch is high in the air to right field, and that one is going to be well out of here. Victor Florentino stops jogging after just a couple of steps. So Dustin Harris has had himself quite a game. He's done, as I said, his share. He's now 4 for 4 with a walk, 3 singles and a home run, and he brings the Titans back within 2. The score now 5-3. That's the 12th hit of the ball game for St. Petersburg. The first hit and the first run against Thomas Haggerty. And now at the plate, Josue Rangel, the shortstop, as the first pitch to Rangel from Haggerty catches the outside corner, strike 1. That one from Dustin Harris was a no-doubter, and then with the wind blowing to right field, even more so. Next offering from Haggerty just misses somehow, I guess, inside. The count goes to 1-1. There's a line drive out into the gap in left field, and that one's going to get down in between the outfielders. Rangel is going to stretch for second, and he is in safely. The ball gets away on the throw into the infield, gets away from Rincones, and I don't think the Bucks would have had him anyway. So after getting 2 outs quickly here in the top of the 9th, Thomas Haggerty gives up a long home run and a double into the gap. The ball didn't get past the outfielders, but Rangel was running hard from the get-go and was able to stretch it into a double. And that brings up Mike Zawal, who represents the tying run at the plate. Zawal hit a home run back in the fourth inning. First pitch from Haggerty to Zaywall is outside, ball one. Haggerty checks the runner. Big right-hander comes to the plate. Swung on, fouled off for a strike. And the count even at 1-1. Haggerty, as I said before, will be going to FAU next year. He's from Fort Lauderdale, so it's right there in his part of the state. 6'6", 225-pound right-hander comes to the plate. Ground ball to the shortstop. That's fielded by Marcano. Throw over to first, and that will do it. Zaywall is retired 6-3.
Titans 3.
And the Titans score 1 run on 2 hits in the the top of the ninth. But strand a runner. And the final score in Game 2, FSW 5, St. Petersburg 3. Final game totals for St. Petersburg: 3 runs on 13 hits, 2 errors, and 8 runners left on base. For the Bucks, 5 runs on 7 hits, 1 error, and 6 runners left on base. Losing pitcher for St. Petersburg, Jeremy Adams. The winning pitcher in relief for FSW will be Joey Mugavero. Mason Adams, the starter, pitched pretty well. Went 4 2/3, though. Not enough to pick up the win as a starter. Didn't finish the 5th inning. He gave up 2 runs on 8 hits. Mugavero went the next inning and a third. He gets the win. Nate Madej with the hold going 1 2/3, and Thomas Haggerty picks up the save. Things got a little dicey there in the top of the ninth, as with 2 outs and nobody on, Dustin Harris hit a solo homer for the Titans, and he was followed by Josue Rangel, who hit a double. Then Mike Zaywall, representing the tying run, grounds out to shortstop, and the Bucks are able to finish off the doubleheader sweep. So with today's 2 wins, FSW now improves to 35-11 on the season, and more importantly, 16-8 in the Suncoast Conference. Again, they started today's action in a 3-way dead heat tie for first place in the Suncoast, with Hillsboro and State College of Florida at 14-8. We know Hillsboro scored 3 runs in the 9th to come back and beat Polk State earlier today. Have not yet gotten a report on State College of Florida's game, but FSW picks up 2 wins and is now 16-8. So at the worst, they're tied for first still. The Bucks now with 6 games remaining in the regular season, as they play 30 conference games in the Suncoast Conference this year. Each of the 6 schools playing 6 games against each of the 5 others. So 6 more games remaining for the Bucks. Obviously, they want to win the conference championship, but primary importance is finishing at least second, as the top 2 teams in the conference advance to the regional tournament, otherwise known as the Florida State Tournament, in Lakeland in mid-May. So some very important games coming up for the Bucks, but they took care of business today here at City of Palms Park, winning the first game 5-0. And the second game, 5-3. The Bucks got on the scoreboard first here in Game 2 in the 3rd inning. Shamir Morales led off with a single. Tyler Solomon followed him with a single as well. And then when Drake Dobianski laid down a sacrifice bunt to move the runners up, it was fielded by the starting pitcher, Jeremy Adams, and he made an off-balance, ill-advised throw and threw it over the first baseman. That led eventually to 3 runs in the 3rd for the Bucks. They added single runs in the 5th and the 7th, and that was enough to hold off St. Petersburg, and the Bucks pick up the doubleheader sweep 5-0 in Game 1 and 5-3 here in Game 2. And now we're joined by head coach again, Ben Bezier, back to visit with us again. And, Coach, congratulations on the doubleheader sweep.
Thanks. It's really hard to sweep a doubleheader against any team in junior college, especially a team as good as St. Pete. So we're really happy about it. It was a good day for us.
Talk a little bit about the effort by your starting pitcher. You mentioned in between games that this was going to be the first game all year and first game in his college career that Mason Adams was the starter rather than coming out of the pen. How did you feel about Mason's performance today?
I thought he was great. I mean, it was a little the run that they scored in the third inning was a cheapie. You know, we turned it out into a double. You know, our shortstop just didn't see it coming off the bat, and neither one of our outfielders took control. So that was a little frustrating when they got that cheapie. But he kind of hit the wall in the fourth. We wanted him to get to the fifth so he'd get that win. But we feel really good about his start, and I thought he was awesome, and I was really, really happy with the way he threw today.
And then out of the bullpen, you had Mugavero, Madej, and Haggerty. Your thoughts on your three relievers who came out of the pen in Game 2?
Yeah, they came in and did their job, and Mugavero came in with that cutter in a big spot and got strike one and then fisted the guy. That was a really momentous spot in the game where we got that. And then Madej came in, and looked really, really good. And then he kind of just he didn't whittle by any stretch of the imagination, but he was clearly he had lost some mustard on the fastball, and we had said before the inning started if we got to number 33 that we were going to go to Haggerty, and of course Madej gives up that cheap hit over the top of his head. He beat the guy, and it just the guy just banged it into the ground. We didn't have a play, so tough deal there. But I thought that all three of them were really, really good. We were really happy. St. Pete is an awesome offensive team. They're came into the series hitting 304. They hit in the series. That's a really good offensive team to hold to 3 runs, and
in a doubleheader.
Yeah. And we beat them the other night 8-3, I think it was. So to hold that team in 27 innings in a series to 6 runs is, the Game 1 of the last series they scored 11 on us.
Yeah.
So. We feel really, really good. That's just St. Pete's a tough team, and we're hoping that they play well down the stretch so they can kind of help us out.
So now you came into today in a 3-way tie for the conference lead. I don't know if you heard, but Hillsborough came back with, I think, a 3 spot in the bottom of the 9th to beat Polk State earlier. What's ahead for the Bucks with 6 games remaining in the conference play?
I think it's just we have Hillsborough in front of us, and that's a team that it's the only team that has this advantage on us 2-1 to this point, and it just comes down to that series. It's just going to come down to that series. So we're excited about it. We look forward to it. This is what we hope for when the year starts, that you get down to the end of the year and you're playing meaningful games. And we like the way we're playing right now.
Right. You mentioned in between games that you're a little banged up. What can you tell us about the health of your team going forward?
Well, I think it was good to get. I had Burke on the bench ready to pull the trigger, and he's not close to full, so it was good to kind of give him the day. Even though I'm sure he would have loved to play. McAllister's kind of banged up a little bit with the hamstring, and Bennett's dealing with some stuff with his hand. His hand's been bothering him, so. It's part of the deal, and hopefully we'll get a little bit of rest tomorrow and we'll reassess where those guys are at. But we'd like to get back to full strength as soon as we can. But we know how hard it is to stay healthy all year.
And your first game coming up against Hillsborough is on Monday. Am I right about that?
Yeah.
And so who will you send to the Hill on Monday?
We got Myers going to the Hill.
Okay. Very good. And obviously you're very confident with him.
Yeah, we got in this series, we got Myers, we have Santos, and then we have the option to go with Gusto if we want to on Friday. So we'll see how it plays out.
Very good. Well, Coach, congratulations on the doubleheader sweep. And they're all important at this point. And as you said, it's never easy to sweep a doubleheader, especially against a good team like this. So congratulations and best of luck moving forward.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Coach Ben Bezier and his Bucks pick up a big doubleheader sweep here against the St. Petersburg Titans. Again, final scores in Game 1, FSW 5-0. In Game 2, they knock off the Titans 5-3. The Bucks improved to 35-11 on the season and 16-8 in the Suncoast Conference, and will be back in action at Hillsboro on Monday, and then here on Wednesday at City of Palms Park. They will be playing against Hillsboro as well. That'll do it for today from City of Palms Park. This is Ken Kendall. Thanks very much for listening to Florida Southwestern Baseball. We'll be back with you next time. Go Bucks!